Welcome, everybody. This is Bertina at the Spiritual Sanctuary, and today we are talking to Kody. Kody does something really cool, and he's going to tell us all about it. But just to kind of give you an idea, he's going to be talking about ancestral healing, bone throwing, tarot readings, and how Reiki and crystal healing can be combined with all of this, and to help with your intuition. Now, Kody, you're in Nashville, and I have done a reading with you, and I absolutely love it. And I even got to keep a little, what do you call them?
A
Uh,
little worry doll.
yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah.
And I want you to tell all about that too. But I just want to say that while you all are listening to this, please, please, please take notes, listen to Kody. He is one of the coolest people that we will have on the show because his technique and what he does isn't just unique. It's really healing and it's really intuitive and empowering. So, Kody, I'm just going to let you start talking. If you want to tell us who you are and what you do, and I'll ask all the questions if you
Yeah, it
don't
sounds
answer. Yeah.
good. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to chat with you and your fans.
my my students, I don't know if they're fans or not. We'll see about that. If you're a fan, let me know, and then you can be a fan with Cody too.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I know I'm a fan. So, no, I
Oh,
think we
thank
met,
you.
Bertina. Didn't we meet at the Galactic Expo? Is that kind of when
Yeah,
I knew I'd followed you, because I was kind of a fan in the shadows, but I knew
really.
about, oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're so well known
Okay.
here. So,
Oh,
yeah,
hi.
no, I had followed you, and then I was like, oh, God, I was a little intimidated when we set up. I was setting up my booth across from you. I was like, oh, wow, but I got to go say hi. So it
Oh
was.
no.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was great. We got to chat in between readings
Yeah,
and connect and shared info, and
I loved
it
it.
came of it, right?
Yeah, it's been a year and a month, and
Oh
it's like
gosh,
every
yes,
every few, like every 5 or 6 weeks, it seems like our paths cross.
it
So I
is.
know we're destined to do some things together. So like we've talked before, I'm going to get you in with some of my students, and we're going to have some fun. But yeah, it was really cool because when you were setting up, I was like, oh, bone throwing, huh? And you were not who I would have imagined would have been bone throwing, but I
Hmm.
absolutely loved it. And your technology drew me in too, because I'm big with tech. And you had PDFs, you had all kinds of different things. So I just really, really enjoyed it. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
tell
So
us.
tell you,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of where what got me on my path, I guess, too. I
Yeah.
actually grew up very southern Tennessee town, super small town.
Really.
So omens, superstitions. Like I remember my great
Yeah.
grandmother always had a horseshoe above her door that you
Mhm.
weren't supposed to touch, right?
Was it up or was it down?
She would move it based on what she wanted, right? So she
Oh
knew
yeah.
that, prosperity, protection, like the difference in the
Yeah.
two. And so like it depended on, what she wanted to do, right? But it
Yeah.
wasn't magical. It was just the way of life, the folk
Hmm.
magic side of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
But
funny looking back,
but
seeing all of those things now.
I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
magic is a part of life, and that's what we've lost. Yeah, yeah. But go on. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. No, I know that's a great point. It really, really is. So, yeah, I grew up around, the superstitions and omens and like that Southern folk magic type culture, even though people didn't call it folk magic, right?
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and I think after college was when I really started my spiritual journey of there's a lot more out there that I don't know about,
Yeah.
I remember I ordered my first tarot deck, my first like set of crystals, and then
Wow.
I started my professional career in Reiki. So that was the first certification I got. I know you teach Reiki too.
Yeah.
But I can't advocate enough for it just because it
Yeah.
even as I was learning to develop my intuition and stuff, even though I had a tarot deck, it really was more of Reiki, like that hands-on
Hmm.
or that being in someone's energy field,
Yes.
being able to feel it and pick up on things. And it was to the point where after probably like 2 years into my spiritual journey, I freaked myself out
We've all done
and
that.
I
What
quit
happened?
for a couple of years, right? Like I was picking up on some a lady's like sacral and throat chakra, and I was like something that like you used to love to do, like you can't do anymore, like you can't communicate like
Oh,
the way you want to communicate. And I remember she said it's because I used to be a singer and I got throat cancer.
oh
I can't sing
no.
anymore. And
Yeah.
yeah, the sacral connected to the third chakra, the throat chakra, right? So it made sense like why that picked up, but that freaked me out to the point where I was like, this is too scary. I need a break. So
Yeah.
I took about 2 years hiatus from the spirit. I would still do stuff on my own, but then after that, I was like, no, I feel like this is part of my calling to be here and to be able to do this work. So entered back into doing Reiki, tarot, crystal healing. Now I've really went a divination path. I love Reiki. It will always have a special place in my heart. I don't offer it like professionally at the moment. I'm
Yeah.
definitely more of the divination thing. Went deep in tarot, did the classes, certifications, and then I found bone throwing about 3 years ago, I think. But it was pretty natural because I remember as a kid, I would always like collect sticks, stones, and these kinds of things. And I actually
Yeah.
was fine with them. I just didn't know what I was doing. I would be
Yeah.
like, if the marble lands here, it means that I need to go work on this. If it lands there, it means the other thing, right? So like I would just kind of divine out as a kid and then go do what I was, supposed to do, so to speak, not realizing that I was connecting to, spirit, the universe, what our belief system is. So
That is so wild. Going back with the Reiki, I absolutely love teaching and doing Reiki one because to me it is learning air energy and air intuition and it builds a lot. And I can just imagine you as a little kid and not knowing that your hands have energy, and you look and you see a stick and you're picking it up, and then you see a rock and picking it up. And it's that innocence that we have as children. We don't put labels on things and we don't think about it. We just do it. That if we don't hone or teach children how to do that, we lose it. And then we have to keep going back and relearning. And I love that picture of you playing and picking up sticks and rocks and marbles and everything. So, yeah. Do you use energy in your bone throwing to feel things or anything? Or,
absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So for me, like the layout is really important and just knowing,
oh,
because in bone throwing, like my kit probably has about 130 pieces the last time I chatted. So when in bone throwing, we typically throw them all. So, in tarot, you're drawing 10 cards is,
yeah.
kind of like a max, a big spread that takes a while. But in bone throwing, when you throw 130, just knowing like where to go and how to read the clusters. So you're going off
Oh.
the energy to help direct kind of the flow of the reading.
Okay. So is there a reason for 130? Is there like a number association or a symbology about how many different things, items? What do you call the items that you
Yeah,
throw?
bone shells and curios. They kind of it's
Okay.
all the
Okay.
above. So
Okay.
there's bones, any kind of shells, and like curios, like I've got like a key in there and like an iron nail and things like
Love
that.
that.
That
I love
crystals.
that.
I love having some
Okay.
crystals in there. So
Okay.
but no, there's not for me like 130 is not like a meaningful number, so to speak. It's really just when you build the kit yourself usually. And
Oh,
you get to
okay.
build, that's what's like beautiful about bone throwing is you get to build your kit based on the way you like to read. So in a way, it's like you're kind of building your own tarot deck in a way. If you're like, hey, I like this empress, but not that empress, like you can pull that in, right?
Oh,
So there are
okay.
traditional pieces that we use in bone throwing, but the fun part is being able to build it yourself. So for me, it was more
Wow.
of just in when I'm in session, just paying attention if there's like, oh, I would have really liked to have known more about this, then maybe I can add in a piece that represents that for the next session.
Oh, okay. So what is kind of like the foundation? If someone would picked up a kit at a store, what would they expect to see?
Yeah, so you would normally have probably starter kits or anywhere from like 15 to 25 pieces. That's probably a good starting range. You're probably going to see a few different types of bones, like a leg bone, a rib bone, some shells. That's pretty standard. And then you might see some of your folk traditional stuff like dominoes, marbles, those kinds of things.
Really?
Yeah, so those are
Okay.
pretty standard pieces in a lot of sets.
Okay.
And the cool thing about bone throwing is like there are some traditional pieces with traditional meanings, but a lot of times you're still building it yourself. So I think that's why
Okay.
some people feel like it's intimidating at the start because you just get a kit of 15 or 20 things
Yeah.
and you're throwing it, you're like, well, what do I do now? Right. So it's putting it, there's not really a guidebook a lot of times, and that's what makes it hard.
Yeah, it sounds like a little bit about like how I do scrying. Um, Either the tea leaves going in different directions, or I've been out at a restaurant and people are like, "Can you do a reading?" And I'm like, I don't necessarily want to pull cards out in a restaurant all the time. So I'll take salt and pepper in my hands and
Oh,
drop it and read it like that, like really short yes or no, or it's something positive. And I will, like, before I make the mess on the table, I'll draw something like yes or no with my hands, or this is going to represent this. And then we'll see, and I'll put the intention of the salt means this and the pepper means this. And but that's something I don't think I could do the way you do all the time. That's just like one of those spur of the moment things. This sounds really cool because, like, you said key, so I thought of Hekate's key.
yeah.
Um, I love symbols though too. The historian in me loves like the symbol of Lilith. Hey, I wonder if there's a goddess set. That would be really cool.
Yeah,
Like, I would
absolutely.
like
Let me
that.
let me know if you have a goddess you want to. I could probably build you a kit around a goddess if you'd like.
Yes, definitely. Okay, I'm writing that down.
Yeah.
Okay. So, where did you learn this? Who taught you, or how did you learn it?
Yeah, I was at a Pagan Pride Festival a few years ago. It's probably been 3 years now, and I met Atalanta Moonfire. She's one of the big authors in bone throwing. I think she's got one of the top three books that I think most people read if you're going to be a bone thrower.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, so I bought a kit from her at Pagan Pride, and when you bought a kit from her, you got a free little Zoom class with her. So I went to
Ooh.
the Zoom class, and she messaged me after and said, I would love to mentor you one-on-one. And I said, absolutely. I could not
Oh
beat
my
that. And
gosh.
so we worked out the plan on like an individual one-on-one
Yeah.
study course so I could get through her, all the certification
Yeah.
type levels that she offers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was very thankful, I love Atalanta. She's one of just the best people, and she's phenomenal at what she does and makes it very accessible and very easy to learn and still,
Wow.
protects the sacredness of the tradition of bone throwing, which is important to me as well.
Okay. Well, can you tell us about the sacredness of it? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, because in bouldering, there's a lot of conversation around cultural appropriation, and I
Yeah.
think that that's something that we're all up against. And
Yeah.
I may not look like the person that is a bone thrower sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And but the thing is, bone throwings came from all different traditions.
Yes.
It's not just one. I think the latest they've tracked it back to is China,
China.
where
Yep.
they burned, I think it was ox shoulders, and they would wait until the bone cracked in fire, and they would read the cracks on the bones, and that was kind of like an origin of, where they've traced bone throwing back the latest. And then you have like your African traditions that work with the Orishas, and they have like their own throwing styles.
Yeah.
connecting to their divinities there. Celt through stick stones,
What I
like
thought. Yep.
yeah, so that's big in my practice is I like to go hiking and pick up sticks and stones since I do have that Celt background because I connect
Yeah.
more. So that's one way that I deal with, the cultural appropriation aspect is I do try to
Yeah.
stick to understanding the tradition of bone throwing and keep it sacred.
Yeah.
Respecting those traditions, but in practice and in my throws, really integrate my heritage
Okay.
in my tradition and what I'm building. But yeah, so that, and then we got in the Bible casting lots, right?
Oh
They talk
yeah.
about casting lots, and so there were big decisions made in the Bible around
Mhm.
people. People didn't have cards back then, right? They had what they
Mhm.
had, they collected what they needed, and they came
Yep.
up with the divination practice, which so it's all that to say it's just very historical, comes from all
Yeah.
different regions. Your Native Americans had their own styles because they, with their spirit animals and spirit totems, and
Yeah.
almost all bone throwers have an animist belief system about them. And that, just goes with the practice of if I'm going to use a stick, I realize that that came from a tree that was once living,
Yeah.
and I can still connect through that spirit for spiritual advice. So,
Yeah. Thinking back, I was born in Eastern Kentucky, up in a holler, up in the middle of nowhere.
yeah.
And literally, there weren't 200 people in my town where I was at. No stop signs, no red lights, no nothing. And I remember my grandfather, he would go squirrel hunting and he did all the things, but he would find bones and he would take bones from different, because he would eat whatever he killed. It wasn't for fun, it was for food or for medicine or for, he made clothes, everything like that. He also made moonshine, but that's a whole different thing. But he would take different bones, different sticks, and it was like briar bush, like those little briar pieces and little like insides of pawpaws, the seeds, and he would do different things like that. And so I never associated that with bone throwing, but it really is because he would take and put it in and he'd swish and he'd dump and he'd look and yeah, that makes sense. And
Wow,
um
absolutely.
his side of the family was German, Romanian, Norse, Viking, and Belgium with some English. And my mom's side was Celt, Scots, Irish, all of that together, just straight almost. And I can see, I mean, definitely it all being tied together from looking at weather, looking at different things, when to plant things, when not. That's really interesting. I hadn't tied all that together, but that's true.
Yeah, I think
So,
he was a bone thrower.
yeah, I mean, and I remember learning how to do the little divining, the water
The water
with the
rods, the
little, yeah,
sticks,
with
with
the
the
rods and stuff like that. And then later learning how to do that when I was doing ghost hunting, different things. It's like everything, like the things I thought was just, horrible or whatever when I was little, I didn't like it. You know how kids are. They just dismiss everything and you grow up and you're like, hey, that was pretty good knowledge that I missed and everything. So yeah. So thinking about that, how does the community in Nashville handle bone throwing? Have you had anyone? Because I know with tarot card readings, I get, oh, the scaredness and the questions and everything. How have you had the community react to bone throwing with you?
Yeah, it's hit or miss. I think if someone's already spiritual and they have some sort of knowledge on it, they're actually very intrigued and it's a positive. And I think that I do get a lot of readings just because someone's like, well, I've had my tarot cards read. Let's try something different,
Yeah, I
And
love that.
and there are portions of people or sects, I guess, of the spiritual group here that automatically think it's evil or that it's automatically like a hoodoo, voodoo
Yeah,
practitioner. And why is
yeah,
this white person practicing and
yeah.
that's just not factual. But I realize that they don't that a lot of times when you see bone throwing, it is tied to that, to
Yeah.
voodoo, right? So people's
Yeah.
head naturally goes there. So it's just not knowing, right, that there's actually a
Yeah.
whole other like section of practice of folk practitioners that were bone
Yeah.
throwers. That kind of thing. And then, but then I would say a lot of times though, people do want to learn. They're like, "Oh my gosh, can I learn this?" I'm like, "Absolutely!" It's like
Yeah.
it's something that you anyone can do, like tarot, right? Like, yes, we've all
Yeah.
got to develop those skills, and some people
Yeah.
start out more intuitive than others, but that doesn't mean you can't learn it.
Exactly.
So I think overall really good. I enjoy it. And then I do have some people that are like, "Hey, no, I actually don't want the bones. Can you just use cards?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we can do cards. No worries, right?" So
Yeah.
I get a mix. But I always do try to explain that it's not, I don't want people having the wrong idea about the practice because it is a
Yeah.
practice that's growing and one
Yeah.
that no matter your ancestral lineage, you can connect to.
Yeah. Well, why do you think it's growing? What is causing it to just be more accessible or more actually, why are people more interested in it? Why do you think the popularity is more than what it used to be? Or do you think it is more than what it used to
Yeah,
be?
I think so. I think that like it's attractive in a way of, there's like there's a shock aspect at first, of course, of like what is that? Like I didn't know you could throw bones and divine with it.
Yeah.
And I think that some people once they get over the fact that it's not dark and it's not sacrificed animals, all my stuff is ethically sourced, that kind of
Yeah.
you know they start to realize it. But I think a lot of it's building your own kit, because how many spiritual people have all this little stuff, trinkets that they really want to use in their practice but they don't know how. Oh, yep, there's your key. Yeah, right. So like that's a great bone throwing piece. And a lot of people have bone throwing kits laying around their house and just don't know it. You can go put one together.
I actually have one. I bought one just because I like to have one of everything. And I've slowly given each little piece away as someone has noticed that they like something. So I used it more as a connection thing, but now I'm
Yeah.
regretting it.
Well, just let me know. I can
Yeah.
hook you up.
That's funny. That's cool. Well, you also mentioned a moment ago ancestral healing. It was funny. And I'm not going to say who, because I don't really even remember their name, but I was at Cosmic and I did a reading for someone, and we got up and they went out to meet their friend, and we were talking, and someone said something about ancestral healing or bone throwing. And I was like, hey, I got the perfect person. And they're friends with you. And
Oh,
so they're like, yeah, I'm good friends with them, with Kody. And I was like, cool. And we were all in the store talking about you and everything. And I was like, you need to go show them. You can. And I showed your Instagram to everyone. And they didn't know how ancestral healing, well, your friend did, but the people in the store didn't know how ancestral healing ties in with that. Can you share a little bit about that?
yeah, and that's something that I'm not sure. I think there are a few bone throwers that go this deep with it, or that actually fully make that connection. And I'll just tell my story, and not assume that that's might be true. But for bone throwing, we will usually connect with ancestors. That's like
Okay.
what our advice. We have advice pieces in our kit, and they
Oh,
are ancestral connection, ancestral communication pieces.
okay.
And like in bone throwing, if they're looking at a cluster, like a group of the pieces fall together, they're in favor of it. And they're saying like, yes, go for it. This is going
Oh,
well. If they're looking away for it, it's kind of like an obstacle. It's saying they're saying, okay, this probably isn't working out the way you want. We need to make some changes in this area. And
okay.
then we'll read that cluster through that lens of, hey, the advice is to change this, or the advice is this is what you need to do based on where the ancestors are looking. I know my kit has 4 ancestor pieces in it, for
Cool.
like the maternal line, paternal line, recent ancestors and then ancient ancestors, and that's kind of where
Okay.
I'll get the advice from in the reading. But for me, a lot of people use it for insight, right? That gives us information on what's happening. But what I was noticing is ancestral healings becoming really popular too, and not a lot of I'm not seeing a lot of people bridge that gap between
No.
growing and ancestral healing. So I went in a deep dive study on the ancestral healing side to where how can I incorporate this healing practice inside of my bone throwing sessions. So
Yeah.
it's still growing for me because there's not like a textbook on it of how to be a bone throwing ancestral healer. Because I think that,
You need to write that.
right, I probably should. I probably should.
I will
um,
help you.
it's been really cool to see, and like what I was noticing in my sessions are a lot of people really a lot of people come in with some struggles around probably like five similar patterns that like
Yeah.
they've inherited from their ancestry, and just to be able to like clearly see that in the bone throw and like look at how they heal from that based on what they've inherited. If you look at studies of like epigenetics and that kind of thing, where they're proving like
Oh,
we can inherit PTSD, we can
I
inherit
know.
behavior that it's instilled in us, nature and nurture,
Yep.
from a early age, and just realizing that like our ancestry needs healing as well. And how if when we heal ourselves, we heal the past and the future.
Yep.
Even if we're not, I don't plan to have children, but if I'm a better person today and I can do something to make myself a better person today, and my interactions that I have with people tomorrow should be more
Right.
positive, right? And if we all
Right.
put in that work, right, that's
Yeah.
ancestral healing for future lineages. So.
Right. So, would you also consider, because in priestess work, we do some of the mirror work for the 7 generations back and 7 generations forward, and you came up with a good thought there. I have people, women and men, who say they're not going to have children. Um, but ancestors, are they always blood? Are they, because they're teachers
Ah,
too.
great
So,
question. No, they are not. And that's one of the biggest misconceptions about ancestral healing is that it has to be your bloodline. Um,
yeah.
and no, there are ancestors, we call them affinity ancestors or vocational ancestors, and they
Okay.
are people that are attracted to us for what we do in the world. So like
Yeah.
for us, it would be you and I probably have ancestral connections or guides that were healers, oracles, those kinds
Yeah.
of things in their life, and they're attracted to us and want to help us in our lives because we have that connection. Cultural ancestors. So,
That's right. Yeah.
we like we were talking about our ancestry earlier, right? Like knowing what those tribes or those communities of people went through, that will ingrain some deep behavior inside of us. And just like reading, like
Yeah.
for me in Celt, just understanding the Celt tribes and the way they weren't super organized in all, but they would pull together in times of need, and they were still able to go up against like big empires, right?
Yeah.
But they were considered barbaric, right? Like all of those things,
I know.
like how has that impacted me, because and what
Yeah.
patterns have I inherited over time, and how have
Yeah.
those patterns evolved, and how do I identify those and realize, is it gold, is it a good thing, or is it a shadow, is it a bad thing, right? Because
Yeah.
if it's a good thing, let's leverage it,
Hmm.
and let's keep it from falling into being a bad thing. And most of the time in ancestral healing, what I find is these patterns that we identify, it's a spectrum. They can be good and bad. We just have to
Yeah.
realize when it flips to the shadow side and what we can do about it.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I love that. Yeah, I usually will tell my clients as well, if you're not planning on having kids, then you may become an ancestral teacher. That's what I call them, to
Yeah.
another generation. And plus, your energy. And right now, not to get into the bad thing, but right now we have so much going on that even right now, our energy that we send out is like a ripple effect. So it's not just now, it's in the future, it's in the past. So doing something good for yourself is a ripple effect on everyone. It's not being selfish. You're helping other generations, you're helping future people and everything else. So it's just because, if you're a good person, you're a good person. And that does go down. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Absolutely. That's
Okay.
why we're all here, right? Spiritually to
Yeah.
make ourselves better, more healed, and help others do the same and
Yeah.
live the best life we all possibly can while we're on Earth.
Yeah. And I absolutely know, and most people know, I also have a master's in history along with everything else. And ancient history is my favorite. And when you go back, of course, I love Egypt and I love Sumerian, Babylonian. But when you go back to Britannia with Boudicca and all of the whole pre-Britain area there that later becomes more Celtic and Scottish and everything, I get so pulled into there sometimes because I just wonder who I'm connected to. It's such a strong connection to that time period.
Mm.
And we don't have to know that. I mean, I will lead past life regressions, and I've done past life regressions, and I'm always like, it isn't who, it is more what lesson. So I always wonder if that in my past, because I've always had warriors. Like I can trace back my ancestors 500 years, and all the men have been military. But then in all of my past lives, I've been a female warrior or priestess.
Love
And
it.
then just going back, and it's like I don't like modern history because of the wars, but I love the ancient one. And it's so weird. It's like, and then I go down a rabbit hole of learning about this culture and then seeing how, and I can see bone throwing being something now that I'm going to get out here and I'm going to start deep diving into and trying to figure out what, why, where, how, all the questions because
Ah,
it's so interesting. And plus, I love trinkets. I
yeah,
love them.
it's
So
great, in
I
a lot
think
of
that's great.
traditions. I know in my kit, I use mostly bones, like ethically
Hmm.
sourced bones, but
Yeah.
a lot of kits will use mostly trinkets and only have a few bones that like empower.
Okay.
They're using the
Yeah.
energy of the bones to empower the throw. So
I
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
the trinkets
Okay.
are great. Charms, like charm casting, but just adding bones into that, right? So
Okay. Yeah. I do. I'm sitting here. Everything's in there. All my stuff here.
I
It's just the crystals or the cards. But that's
know.
cool. Well, do you have anything else you want to add about anything? Did I forget anything?
No, I don't think so. This has been a great conversation.
Well, I am, and for all of you all listening, I am going to bring Kody onto a virtual and a live event in the fall. So keep posted. I don't know what we're going to create, but we're going to create something. So we'll definitely be doing that. But can you tell people for right now where we can find you if we want to get a reading?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're local to the Nashville area, I'm a guest reader at Aroma G's, one
Okay.
of the places just east of Nashville. I read at the Makeup Altar and I teach workshops out of the Makeup Altar. So that's probably like one of my main homes.
What's that?
Oh,
What's
you
the
ever heard of
makeup?
the makeup? Oh yeah, the makeup altar. Melanie owns the makeup altar. She's an
Hi,
amazing
Melanie.
makeup artist. Hi, Melanie. I hope you're doing well. She's just had a minor surgery and in recovery. So she told me
Oh,
today
okay.
she is healing, so healing well, and we're
Good.
glad she's off her feet for a minute before because she's a workhorse. She's all the time going. So hope she's resting when she hears this and
Yeah.
not overdoing it. But
Yeah.
yeah, she is amazing. Her store is so cute. It's got a makeup side with her professional makeup line where she does makeup lessons, parties, that kind of thing. And then she's got an altar side as well, where there's crystals, tarot decks, books, candles.
Oh,
She curates a lot of stuff, and a lot of time on the weekend she will have readers in, and then we'll do
yeah.
workshops out of there too. So it's a great spot in Five Points in East Nashville.
Okay.
And then I read at Mystical Heart in Mount Juliet. So every once in
Oh,
a while
wow.
I can make my way up there. A little bit of a drive, but it's worth it. She's got a great store as well. And so yeah, those are kind of like my three homes. And I'll do events when I'm asked and any
Okay.
of that kind of stuff. But I think to find me like if you're following me on Instagram is probably
Yeah.
the best, and I'm sure we can link it when we
Oh,
post
yeah.
it out. But I'm at the Life Code, Kode. And yeah, I post all kinds of free content there as well. If you're interested in learning ways to pick up any of these practices and fully and start to integrate them immediately, just simple things, and then where I'm at, when I'm going to be there, and what we're doing. So just try to use that as
That's
my funnel.
perfect. Oh, that is perfect. I will definitely put your Instagram down in the show notes and I will send it out when I send out my email announcing this. I'll have that, your Instagram on there as well. And I will say Mystical Heart, absolutely love for their Athames. I get mine there. And Aromages, I get my books there. And then, of course, Cosmic Connections is our sponsor and all my other stuff there all the
Yeah.
time. So I'll tell you what, if you all are watching this and you follow Kody on Instagram and you say that you listen to this podcast, you'll go in for a drawing for a $10 gift card from Cosmic Connections. Does that sound good? So, Kody, you'll have to let me know if anyone does that. And the more people that does it, the more gift cards that I can give out. So, just say you listen to him on this podcast, Spiritual Sanctuary. And Kody, I want to thank you for being my guest today. I've absolutely loved this. It's been so much fun. And
Absolutely.
it's such a kind of a balance from the priestess path to there, but you just taught me that that the connection with bone throwing definitely went back to the priestess line as well. I can see, and I'm going to have to deep dive that which priestesses were connected with bone throwing
Mhm.
and anything like that. So that's going to be another to do study on my list. But I appreciate you being here. Is there anything else you want to say before we go?
No, thank you for having me. Love Bertina. Always love chatting with you. So glad we got to spend more time
Love
together,
it.
and we'll have to go hang out soon and chat more.
Definitely, since I don't have another job, I definitely have got some time. So we will do that. Okay. Well, everybody, thank you, and make sure that you go to Kody's Instagram. What was it again?
The Life Code, TheLifeKode.
That's what I thought. And then also sign up for my newsletter at bertina.org to make sure you get everything coming forward with us. But thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.